Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our honored guest, the President of Israel, members of the United States House of Representatives, members of the United States Senate, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, and the Vice President of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable John Boehner.
Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, ambassadors, members of the diplomatic corps, ladies and gentlemen, welcome this morning and welcome to the United States Capitol. Since the days of the American Revolution, every Congress has had one humbling privilege, that of awarding a gold medal for extraordinary contributions. It's the highest honor that we can bestow. And the first recipient in 1776 was George Washington, the father of our country. Today, under his gaze, we will present the gold medal to another founding father, the 9th President of the State of Israel, Shimon Peres. Mr. President, welcome. Like General Washington, Shimon Peres has spent his life serving his country, even before there was a country to serve. He is the great prototype of the Israeli statesman, and we only need to glance at the titles he's held to understand this. A record 48 years in the legislature, a minister in 12 cabinets, a two-time prime minister, an author of at least 11 books, and a Nobel laureate. These distinctions, of course, are only symbols of his service. They do not compare to the place President Peres holds in the hearts of freedom-loving people all over the world. And this is what this Medal of Honor means above all else. We have a great program in store. Mr. President, I know that for your 90th birthday, you had Barbara Streisand and serenade you, and you had Tony Blair toast you. I hope you don't mind, but in the interest of time, we're actually asking the Vice President today to do both. But this is a special moment for all of us. It's the first time we're presenting a gold medal to an Israeli head of state. And Mr. President, because of your generation, I have faith it will not be the last. This medal says to our young people, and yours, never get cynical, never give in to expediency, and know that America will always stand with Israel and with all men and women of peace. Thank you all for being here this morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the colors by the United States Armed Forces Color Guard, the singing of the United States and Israeli national anthems, and the retiring of the colors. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the chaplain of the United States House of Representatives, the Reverend Patrick Conroy, gives the invocation.
Let us pray. God of Abraham, we give you thanks for the gift of life and for the many blessings that life brings. Today we gathered in this hallowed temple to representative government, dedicated to the enjoyment of life and its blessings for its citizens, to honor Shimon Peres, the 9th President of Israel. We are honored by his presence and his long life of service to his own nation, and as a friend and ally to ours. Honored 20 years ago as a Nobel laureate, Shimon Peres has been a man of
With all due respect, Mr. President, I think it would be hard to find a person in this room that does not see the future of Israel through the lens of your legacy. Last year, I had the honor of meeting President Peres on a trip to Israel with some of my colleagues. It was an incredible visit from Jerusalem to Ramallah, Sderot to the Galilee, Tel Aviv to Masada. Of all the memorable moments, though, there's one that shines through. At a dinner in Tel Aviv, I met a young Israeli woman who founded an organization that was bringing aid to parts of Syria that other international assistance had been unable to reach. She'd helped one community in particular for years, without disclosing much of who she was or where she came from. One day, she finally let the Syrian commander know that she was an Israeli. He was stunned, and right then and there, refused her help, calling her a sworn enemy, despite the lives that she had saved and the selfless assistance she had given his people. Luckily, she was not one to be easily deterred. She took it to the community for a vote. If they said go, she would pack up. If they said stay, she would continue to serve. They begged her to stay. So she did. Mr. President, this is your legacy, every bit as integral to Israel's future as her past. The generations of Israeli men and women who continue to put themselves on the front lines of peace, no matter the risks or the roadblocks, who refuse to let labels like enemy or adversary influence the direction of their moral compass, who believe that peace is possible, in no small part because they have a leader by their side for over 70 years, counseling patience, optimism, and faith. Mr. President, with a debt of gratitude not only for the history that you carved, but for the future that you will undoubtedly shape, it is our honor to come together today to recognize you with a Congressional Gold Medal. And a world still, as you say, aching for peace, for compassion in the face of great conflict, and humanity in the face of great suffering. May your legacy light our way. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Senator from New Hampshire, the Honorable Kelly Ayotte.
Good morning. I am so humbled to be here in the presence of President Shimon Peres, Vice President Biden, Speaker Boehner, Majority Leader Reid, our congressional leaders, so many distinguished leaders and citizens in this room. To Congressman Kennedy, Congressman Franks, thank you so much for your leadership in the House of Representatives to ensure that we will award President Shimon Peres the Congressional Gold Medal. Your efforts helped make today's ceremony possible. To Senator Bennett, I want to express my gratitude to you for working alongside with me in the United States Senate to introduce the bill to award President Peres the Congressional Gold Medal. And I know today's ceremony is particularly moving for you and your family. We are so honored to have your mother here with us today. Suzanne Kledgman Bennett is with us today. She was born in Poland in 1938 as Nazi forces gathered at the border. She and her parents endured the Nazi occupation in and around Warsaw. Along with an aunt, they were the only members of the family to survive. And unfortunately, everyone else perished at the hands of the Nazis. So I know how much this means to you, Senator Bennett. Thank you. I cannot think of a more deserving individual to receive the Congressional Gold Medal than President Shimon Peres. And I want to thank the people who came to me, and Senator Bennett and others, Ezra Freelander, and all who have worked on this, because this has been one of the highlights of the work that I've been able to do in the Senate. And by the way, if everything were as easy to do in the Senate to get co-sponsors for as this, can you imagine what we could get done for the country? As one of the founding fathers of Israel, for 67 years, President Shimon Peres has been a selfless servant of his beloved country during times of war and peace. Providing a steady hand, he has been a constant and passionate voice for peace. But most of all, not only is he a great statesman and leader, he is a man who has a pure heart, and the depth of his love for all of humanity has made him a drum major for justice, not just in Israel, but throughout the world. As for America, we have never had a better friend who understands who we are and what we stand for. As President Peres said last night at the Israeli embassy, we are an exceptional nation whose people give rather than take. Today, Mr. President, is our way of saying to you, thank you, and to recognize that you truly are an exceptional man who has made Israel and the world a better place. Thank you, Mr. President.
Ladies and gentlemen, the United States Army Chorus. Ladies and gentlemen, the Democratic leader of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable Nancy Pelosi.
Good morning, Mr. Vice President, President Peres, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Leader, Mr. Leader, Mr. Leader, my colleagues in the Congress, our friends in the Senate, Madam Secretary. Today, Congress is bestowing a Congressional Gold Medal on a truly historic figure. Every one of us in this room will always be able to boast that we were there when Congress honored this iconic figure and friend of America. Shimon Peres planted the seeds of the Jewish state of Israel and helped that garden grow, whether literally in the blooming of the desert or more significantly in the blossoming of a society and a people. A soldier who became a peacemaker, an immigrant who became an institution, a public servant who became a statesman, a champion of nonviolence, a messenger of hope, an idealist who understood pragmatism, a founder of a nation who became and remains a visionary for his and all people. Shimon Peres' story is the story of modern Israel, a saga of daring, dynamism, and wisdom. Israel, like America, President Peres once said, was conceived as an idea born in defiance of history, creating a new world by drawing the values of the past and the innovations of the future. Few alive could claim to have done so much for the success of that idea. And even at the age of 90, this farmer, fighter, author, Nobel Peace Prize winner, prime minister, and president continues to guide his nation into tomorrow. Just as an aside, I remember when at the White House we celebrated his 90th birthday last year, he spent his speech talking about innovation technologies of the future. Shimon Peres' dream has long been and will ever be the dream of a nation free to live in peace and security in the homeland of the Jewish people. He dreams of a dawn where every man and woman across the Middle East may wake up, as he says, free to be free. And as Shimon Peres would surely remind us with the words of Theodore Herzl, if you will it, it is not a dream. May God bless Shimon Peres, his dreams, and his will to serve the state of Israel and the path to peace. May his spirit and the spirit of the entire pioneering generation of Israel's founders live on in our actions today and in the future. May Israel long be recognized as the greatest political achievement of the 20th century and a beacon of hope, democracy, and justice into the 21st century and beyond. May this gold medal always serve as a stirring symbol of our deep respect for Shimon Peres, our unending admiration for Israel's people, and the unbreakable friendship between our country and the nation of Israel. As our speaker said earlier, the first recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal was our founding father, George Washington. Today, we bestow it on another founding father. Both of them, in accepting the award, bring luster to the award. Thank you, President Peres, for receiving this honor. Again, your accepting it brings honor to the Congress, luster to the award. Shalom, and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Majority Leader of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable Eric Cantor.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Vice President, Mr. Speaker, President Perez, my colleagues, and other distinguished guests. It is a true honor for me to be here today to pay tribute to one of the world's greatest statesmen. President Perez, you are always a man who has stood for the advancement of humankind. You have been an inspiration to so many of us, young and old, in your tireless advocacy for democracy, in your belief that it is that which is the best path to peace and security for all. Few people, President Perez, have dedicated their lives to the security of the State of Israel and the continuity of the Jewish people the way that you have. So many of us have been touched by President Perez. I know on the many trips that I've made to Israel, along with my colleague Kevin McCarthy, just a little over a year ago, we were there. You welcomed us with open arms, delegation after delegation. So many of us found inspiration in your words. So many of us tried to learn how it was that you talk about the importance of the U.S.-Israel partnership, of what it means to be tied together by mutual bonds and beliefs. You have said and continue to say that what makes us in America so unique is that we are a country that gives, we don't take. And in fact, if you think about it, our country maintains its security for its citizens because we give of treasure, and yes, we give of blood, to go in search of helping others, those who cannot help themselves. And that redounds to our benefit and our safety and security here at home. That is what makes America, at its core, a leader of the world. That is why it is so important that we maintain this strong partnership between our two countries. Mr. President, you are worthy of this one of the highest honors that America can confer in the Congressional Gold Medal. You know, in the Jewish religion, we pray daily for the restoration of justice. We ask God for His guidance, His inspiration to our leaders, that they may conduct themselves toward that end of the restoration of days of old, and allow us to continue on our mission of repairing the world, as it is said, Tikkun Olam. President Perez, you are one of those warriors. You are that leader. Congratulations to you today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican leader of the United States Senate, the Honorable Mitch McConnell.
For thousands of years, the Jewish people searched for a home. For almost 70 years, they've defended one. The world has marveled at the achievement of this once nomadic people, subjected so often throughout their history to the worst of human nature, a people who raised a nation out of the sands, with every odd stacked against them. It's an incredible tale. And since the birth of modern Israel, one man has been there every step of the way, standing at the very center of this remarkable drama. Shimon Peres, President of Israel, the man we honor today. He was there in pre-war Europe. He was there during the migration to Israel. He was there for the War of Independence. He's held virtually every major government post over the span of his nearly 70-year-long political career. He served under Ben-Gurion. He dined with de Gaulle. He sparred with Nasser. His tenure in the Knesset spans momentous events in Lebanon and Camp David and the Olympics in Munich. He's both seen and stood at the center of so much. From Israel's earliest years as a dream in the desert to its transformation to the modern, flourishing diverse democracy of today. He's been there, a figure of reconciliation and of strength. With his Arab neighbors, he has sought peace and made extraordinary Nobel-winning efforts to advance it. His historic speech to the German people in 2010 moved and inspired many of us. And we know that President Perez put aside long-standing mistrust among domestic political adversaries in order to join hands with those interested in peace. The kind of peace that seemed impossible at the time and that remains sadly elusive today. But he hasn't given up. And that's not surprising, given that this man, who once said that for him, dreaming is simply being pragmatic. It's this remarkable approach to life and work that sustained Shimon Peres for decades in the political spotlight. In just a few weeks, President Perez will leave the presidency behind. He'll close the book on one storied political career and hand the reins to his successor. But what a story it has been. What a story it is. So today we honor Shimon Peres, President of the State of Israel, for his numerous contributions to public life. We thank him for being such a great friend of the United States over the years, for strengthening the unbreakable union between our two democracies. And we look forward to the next chapter in his extraordinary life. May it be as remarkable as those that preceded it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Majority Leader of the United States Senate, the Honorable Harry Reid.
Today we're gathered to honor a man who's dedicated his entire life to making the world a better place. I see in the audience Senator Dick Durbin. He was with a group of senators that I led to the Middle East on a Codell. And I told Senator Durbin and others at that time that they were going to have an opportunity to meet the man that I had such deep respect and admiration for. In fact, no one has been more inspirational to me than the man we honor today. Dick and I still talk about that meeting we had with Shimon Peres and the visionary view he had of the world. But is any wonder I think so highly of this man? 7 decades of public service should be an inspiration to us all, and it is. We've heard his tenure of service, about 50 years in the Knesset, Prime Minister twice, acting Prime Minister twice, Minister of Foreign Affairs on 3 separate occasions, Minister of Defense twice, Minister of Finance, Minister of Transportation, and 8 other cabinet posts, and currently, of course, President of the State of Israel. This is a man who never grows old. When he came into his first time as being Prime Minister, a lot of us, when the internet came, that was for someone else to deal with, but not this man. He wanted to know about the internet, and he proceeded to teach himself and have others teach him about the internet. He was the first Prime Minister to go onto the internet and have that position, this worthy position he holds as part of the internet. He's been educated in the United States on occasion, the New School, New York University, Harvard. He speaks Hebrew, Yiddish, Polish, Russian, English, French. He's authored 11 books. We've heard he's been honored with the most prestigious awards that can be given to him worldwide. The Nobel Peace Prize, Presidential Medal of Freedom, French Legion of Honor, and today the Congressional Gold Medal. So you can understand why I was so eager to take Senator Durbin and the other senators with me to meet this good man, this incredible man. But my admiration for President Perez stems more from just his important positions and his many accomplishments. Winston Churchill said, quote, "All the great things are simple and can be expressed in a single word." Well, I believe that. The greatness of Shimon Peres can be expressed in a single word: optimism. He said, this man seated behind me, optimists and pessimists die the same way. They just live differently. I prefer to live as an optimist. Optimism has been his life, and it's that optimism that has inspired so many of us around the world. That optimism has guided Shimon Peres in everything he's done, from the challenges he and his family faced because of the Holocaust to his work for a lasting peace and a secure Israel. It is that optimism, his hope for the world, his belief in peace, which I so admire. President Perez has said, and I quote, "There are two approaches to leadership, one that is built on force and the other that is built on goodwill. Goodwill is winning. Reliance on force." What's the conclusion? That through goodwill you can achieve more. Isn't that true? Thank you. He has achieved so very, very much, not only for himself, not only for the state of Israel, not only for the Middle East, but for the world. Through his optimism and his goodwill, Shimon Peres has always placed peace within our grasp. So I congratulate this good man, a statesman, a leader for the world, for everything he has accomplished throughout his distinguished life. President Perez, Israel, the Middle East, and the world are all better because of your optimism and your decency. It's an honor for me to participate in this ceremony today as the United States Congress bestows upon you its highest honor, the Congressional Gold Medal. We honor you today, the father of your country, at least one of the fathers of your country, and in so many different ways, congratulate you for being the man that you are. This medal epitomizes all that you've meant to Congress, the people of the United States, America, and the world. Mr. President, you have, for these many decades, worked tirelessly to make the world a better place for all of God's children.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Speaker of the United States House of Representatives, the Honorable John Boehner.
It is now time for the presentation of the gold medal, and I'd ask my colleagues on stage to join me for the presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President of the United States, the Honorable Joseph R. Biden, Jr.
Mr. President, thank you. Mr. President, congratulations. And with your permission, I'll forego the Barbra Streisand serenade. But what I have to say is equally as much from the heart as her most melodic tunes. I heard a story, one Israeli speaking to another recently, and the first one said, do you know Shimon Peres has only 3 or 4 weeks left to go in his presidency? And the response was, yes, but they're Perez weeks. Those weeks have gone on for a long, long time, Mr. President. You are absolutely relentless. As everyone has pointed out, you've been minister, prime minister. You've occupied every office there is to occupy. In Israel, and I would argue around the world, I've been to so many conferences in other parts of the world with President Perez that you're a force of nature, Mr. President. You're a force of nature. Every once in a while, people produce someone who is beyond their office. They're a force of nature. I've watched you in Switzerland, in Germany, in England. I've watched you in the Middle East. I've watched you in so many places where I've been present while you've spoken. There's never, never, never a place I've been, and I've known you, Mr. President, since I was 30 years old. There's never been a place I've been where when this man stands up, everybody listens. No matter what the atmosphere in the room before he approached the podium. You're a national treasure to Israel, but I'd also respectfully suggest you've been a national treasure to the United States of America. You're a legendary friend. Mr. President, I know you've heard all this 1,000 times, and it's hard to say it with the emotion we all feel it, but Mr. President, I try to picture many times when I've been with you, you being at literally the feet of David Ben-Gurion, where you were essentially a kid at the time, his youngest protege, and you've served continuously since 1948. It's absolutely remarkable. I've watched how you've expressed your affection for everyone who's ever touched you or your family. I've watched how you give praise to Greek monks who helped save your father. I've watched how I'm told knowing you can probably sing Greek songs too. It's just remarkable to me how your image and the way you live your life seems in private and public, and although I don't know it in any detail in private, has been totally consistent. You spent half your career, the first half, cementing the physical security of the state of Israel. As you said, as a small nation, but a great concept. And you almost single-handedly willed into existence a strong, proud Israel defense establishment that we work with so closely today. And ever since then, Mr. President, you've been every bit as indefatigable in your search for peace. It's sort of the yin and the yang of it seems to me, of Shimon Peres. He's always done what had to be done for his country in the time it had to be done. He's always known what had to be done, Madeline, in his country at the time. And in almost every instance I'm aware of, he has almost always been ahead of the curve. It's what was needed for his people. Israel, as a Jewish state, a homeland for Jewish people, a state, a two-state solution where two peoples could live side by side, Palestinians enjoying self-determination, mutual recognition and peace, You know, when you think about Israel today, at least I do, I've been traveling to Israel since 1972, and I was raised at a table by what, and Shimon Peres may not remember, but my father got to meet him, what you'd call a righteous Christian, where we had conversation, incidentally ate. And my father was one of those people, after as a young kid, remember after the war, how he could understand why was there disagreement about establishing this state of Israel? Why was this the case? Why was there any problem? And in hindsight today, I think most of us, look at my children or grown men and women, look back and it's like, this was all inevitable. There was inevitability about Israel becoming a nation state, a strong, proud, successful, economically vibrant nation state. But you don't have to look back very far to realize this was anything but inevitable. As a matter of fact, it was the opposite of inevitable. Literally all the odds were against Israel. Thankfully, Israel was blessed with a founding generation that understood what it took to overcome those odds. And thankfully, Mr. President, Israel was blessed with you. My mother had an expression that my siblings and I heard repeated God knows how many times. She'd always say, you're defined by your courage and you're redeemed by your loyalty. You are defined by your courage and you're redeemed by your loyalty. You are the definition of what my mother was talking about, Mr. President. You have had great courage and your loyalty has been unbending. Not only to all of your people, but to our people as well. And as my friends in the Senate and House would excuse me for a point of personal privilege, as I said, I've known you for a long time. If you'll forgive me for quoting an Irish proverb, there's an old Irish proverb that says, a good friend is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find, but lucky to have. Mr. President, you have been my friend. You have counseled me when I've asked you for counsel. You have been done with me what you've done for so many people here. You've literally given us the benefit of your wisdom. I'll conclude, Mr. President, by saying, I think the one distinguishing feature of you as a leader, and because I've hung around this place so long, I think I've met the vast majority of the world leaders personally over the last 40 years. I have never met a person, and I mean this sincerely, I've never met a person with greater eloquence nor possessed of more wisdom than you. If there's anything this world needs badly now, it's women of men with wisdom. So, Mr. President, thank you for what you've done for your country. Thank you for what you've done for our country. And thank you for your friendship. Mr. President, may God bless Israel and bring all of her children home. May God bless America, and may God protect our troops. Congratulations. I forgot my job. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the State of Israel, Shimon Peres, and the winner of the Congressional Gold Medal of Honor.
so embarrassed me that I'm not sure if I'm dreaming or this is a true story. Thank you so much. Vice President Joe Biden, Speaker Boehner, Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, leaders and members of the House of Representatives and the Senate. I'm humbled to stand here today in this rotunda, in this great pantheon of democracy, the Congress of the United States. Here you give expression to the unbreakable spirit of the American people. It was first expressed 237 years ago when your forefathers signed a document whose words will still echo for all time. Among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those words resonate with much meaning today, as they did when America's first patriots wrote them. They have inspired generations of Americans to dream of a better America, and they have inspired peoples all over the globe to dream for a better world. Many people call me a dreamer. I suppose that's why I have always felt at home in the United States of America. America that was given the privilege to carry the dreams of humanity. My own first dream was to be a shepherd in a kibbutz. It came true, you know. So at dawn, I watched the sheep in order not to lose one. At night, I watched the stars in order not to miss one. The dreams of a young shepherd were interrupted by David Ben-Gurion, Israel's George Washington, who called me to serve at the Jewish state at birth. I was then 24 years old. Yet Ben-Gurion entrusted me with heavy responsibilities. He made me Director General of the Israeli Ministry of Defense. He charged me with securing our young nation's ability to defend itself. I worked hard. I had little time to study. I didn't know a single word of English. After our War of Independence, Ben-Gurion suggested I'll go to the United States to learn English, study the American dreams. He told me that's what you have to do. So I did. I learned that America is not a land for the idle. I learned that America is the home for the daring. The American dream is about hard work, pioneering spirit, can-do attitude. I learned the two great bodies that steer under the icon marble dome, the Senate and the House of Representatives, offer the tiny Israel, struggling for life, an unbelievable and friendship. You helped Israel out of her loneliness. You helped Israel overcome small size in tough surroundings. You helped us maintain a resilient democracy, to become strong enough to take risks for peace. Whether through military assistance or security cooperation, or through diplomatic and moral support, you send us a clear message that we are not alone. on behalf of all the people of Israel, I want to thank you, my friend and Israel's friend, President Barack Obama, for standing by our side with unshakable commitment to Israel's security. I want to thank each and every one of you, the American Congress, for your unwavering, bipartisan, and generous support to my people. Thank you for helping us weather so many storms and for giving us confidence to face the future. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, the challenges we face are considerable. Together we must fight terrorism, advance peace, prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapons capacity. Like President Obama, Israel hopes that the issue of Iran will be resolved peacefully. And like President Obama, we believe that Iran should be judged by actions, not by words. The artificial structure in the Middle East built in the previous empire are now falling apart. At the same time, the rules governing the world are being rewritten. Security and prosperity are no longer mainly national issues. National economies are dependent on global economy. National security is increasingly dependent on fighting global terrorism. Amidst the chaos in the Middle East, it is easy to sink into despair. But I have seen too much in my life to lose hope. I have seen Israel defy the odds time and again. I have seen Israel defeat superior enemies on the battlefield and send soldiers to rescue hostages thousands of miles away from home. Israel has shown it can defend itself against those who sought to destroy her. Israel did and will do everything in our power to bring home our 3 kidnapped boys. Naphtali, Gilad, and Elad. I met with their parents, with their mothers, and they asked me to speak here before you on their behalf, to ask you to make your voice heard all over the world to help bring them, their boys, our boys, home, to sound a call across the world against terror. Let's raise our voice together against terrorism wherever it is. Dear friends, I have seen the genius of Israel make our poor Middle East land bloom and turn Israel into a global center technology. I learned that high tech can quench the world's thirst for water and heal the planet. We increase yields without increasing land. As the grandson of a rabbi, burned alive with his community by the Nazis in a synagogue in Belarus in 1942, I know that even at the darkest hour, cannot prevent a new dawn and the next day, and it will arrive. My friends, today and together, we must tackle two monumental challenges we face: terrorism and poverty. Terror knows no borders and obeys no rules. It kills hundreds of thousands and it turns millions into refugees. We see it in Iran, in Iraq, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen, in Libya, in Sudan, in Gaza, and elsewhere. By sanctioning their suppliers, by preventing the financial aid. We know that terrorists are global. There they should be fought globally. We must fight not only the acts of terror, but the roots of terrorism. Not just by military means, but by drawing the financial supply, by delegitimizing their actions, by weaving a modern regional net that can catch terrorists and protect the innocent people. Religions can play a meaningful role in destroying and restoring terrorism and restoring tolerance and hope. Religion can never permit terrorists to hijack faith and perpetrate violence in the name of heaven. We need voices more like Pope Francis. We need rabbis, priests, and imams to preach respect for God in heaven and life on earth. Ladies and gentlemen, it is our duty to offer the young generation a vision more compelling, more promising for the future. The Middle East population grew 5 times over the last 50 years. Its economy did not. Poverty soared. An era of science replaced the era of land. We experience it almost daily. Israel has little land, even less water, no oil. But we became a startup nation through high tech and hard work. I learned that the turmoil of today can provide a new hope for tomorrow. And my dream today is that the Middle East will become a startup region, as Israel became a startup nation. To make that happen, leaders in the region must do their share to open their societies. Because without free thinking, there is no new thinking. And without openness, there are no discoveries. Global companies should play a role helping the region become to date and prepare it for tomorrow. 2/3 of the Middle East population is under the age of 25. For some, this is a cause of concern. For me, it is a source of hope. For business, it's a great opportunity to invest, both economically and socially. Global companies are aware that young people want a different future. They want free expression, but also self-expression. They want equal rights, including the equal right to be different. Our 2 countries, America and Israel, have a unique contribution to offer. We are not the same size, but share the same values and the same dreams. Our dreams keep us young. Our values keep us true. What Israel already earned from experience, we want to share with our neighbors. In my decades of having the privilege of serving my country, I saw her become a thriving democracy, a diverse society, a leading defense force, a cutting-edge scientific community. It was done with you, and nobody else could be more helpful than you. Together we can put the region on a more promising course through initiative in health, education, agriculture, water, and science. I hope to dedicate myself to this work in the years ahead. As for America, it remains indispensable. America is the greatest power in the world today, and the only great power in history that never tried to become an empire. You, my dear friends, representing your nation, you became great not by taking. You became great by giving. God bless you. America is a force for good, a force for progress, a force for peace. The world is fortunate that America continues to lead it. 60 years ago, America looked to the moon to discover a distant land. Today, the United States is leading a major scientific effort to reveal the secrets of the mind. We are partners in that effort. May I say that in my judgment, there may be more to discover in the brain than in the moon. Ladies and gentlemen, America and Israel should continue to work together to advance peace. Wars can be waged alone. Peace calls for a collective effort. Israel went through 7 wars and attained 2 peace agreements with Egypt, the largest Arab country, with Jordan, our longest shared border. I hope that we will be able to renew peace talks with the Palestinians soon. Israel does not intend to rule over other bettering the world and making peace with all of our neighbors. President Abbas is clearly a partner for peace. There were people who thought otherwise. I feel they are now closer to my judgment than to their own, because he spoke bravely in Saudi Arabia in Arabic, against the kidnapping, against terror, and for peace. But you cannot put fire and water in the same glass. As he is a friend, Hamas is clearly not a partner for peace. Hamas fires rockets at our civilians. They oppose peace. They support terror. Finding a way toward is hard, but we must not lose hope. There is no better solution than the two-state people, a Jewish state, Israel, an Arab state, Palestine. Peace between Israel and Palestine can forge a broader regional peace. A bridge should be built to enable the Israeli peace initiative to meet the Arab peace initiative. My friends, I've lived long enough to see impossible becoming possible. To skeptics, I can say, believe me, peace is the most possible impossibility. In 1 month, I will be leaving my term as the 9th President of Israel, but I will never give up on the struggle to achieve peace. I'm young enough to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, I leave you today with one piece of advice. It is the advice of a boy who dreamed in a kibbutz, who never imagined where his blessed life would take him. And when Theodor Herzl said, "If you will it, it is not a dream," he was right. Looking back on the life of Israel, our dreams proved not to be too big. Our dreams were not too big. They were too small, because Israel achieved more than I could have ever imagined or anybody dreamed for. So I asked only one thing from you, the great United States of America, this mighty nation of givers and dreamers. Don't dream small. You are great. Dream big and make the world better. And your work will those dreams into a new reality for you and for all humanity. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America, and God bless the unbelievable friendship, historic, moral, meaningful cooperation between your great country and our small nation. Thank you from the depths of my heart.
Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing as the Chaplain of the United States Senate, Dr. Barry Black, gives the benediction.
Let us pray. Lord of all, we praise and honor you for using President Shimon Peres as an instrument of your peace. Continue to bless this leader and patriot who believes that security can be found through shalom. May his exemplary life of courage, optimism, patience, steadiness, and perseverance inspire us to maximize our possibilities for doing good in your world. Bless and keep us. Make your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. Lift the light of your countenance upon us and give us your shalom. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated for the departure of the official party and until your row is invited to depart by a visitor services representative. Thank you.